And we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Wheel Talk, the podcast with a guy in a wheelchair and a girl in a wheelchair. What up?
Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. It's Monday, right? Yeah, regular day. Like, what day
Yeah,
is it?
happy Monday. Happy 7th of July.
Yeah. It's we had Canada Day and then there was like the 4th of July in the US. Do you guys have like a national day or whatever in France?
Yeah, we have Bastille Day, which is in
Oh.
July, I think. Yeah.
Oh, it is in July.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we get cracking with the worst accessible seating ever, I wanted to show you something. I wanted to show you my new Magic t-shirt.
Asked to see a magic trick. I love that.
Yay.
And it's
Go on,
nice that
then.
it's nice that it's high enough that your back doesn't cover it at all, like your wheelchair
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Go on then,
So
ask
can
to
I
see
see a
one.
magic trick? Can I see a magic trick?
A magic trick.
That's funny. What does the
No,
RF stand for?
it stands for Reed Ferry. He's the guy who,
Oh.
he's like, yeah, sold the t-shirt. But what if I was to ask you to think of any playing card you wanted to? Think of one and say it out loud. The first one that comes to your head.
Ace of Spades.
The Ace of Spades. And that felt like a free choice, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Now, what if your card was printed on my shirt? Now, would that be a magic trick?
No fucking way.
Are you
That would
ready?
be a magic trick. That's awesome.
Nice, right?
That's really funny.
If you were to think of a different playing card, if you were just to think of a different card, think of one more.
Jack of clubs.
The Jack of Clubs. That felt like a free choice, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. That's a good choice. That's a good choice. Well done. I got nowhere to go with that one.
Oh, that's funny. That is a really funny shirt. Why is that doing that on my? It's like showing like the
Yeah,
things on my screen.
I put the comments on today.
Oh, so
It
you
said
can
it said
see
like
it.
show comments on stage. So I was like, thought, wow, why not? We've not
Oh,
done that before.
that is awesome. I love that. I was like, I thought I was doing something wrong. I was like, did I just do something with my screen by accident? No, that's awesome. I love that. I love that
Yeah,
people can
nice.
see what people are commenting because actually on our screen, we can see them like scrolling in a really nice way. But when you watch live on YouTube, they're actually just like in the comments. Like,
Yeah.
so it's kind of an odd view when you're actually watching on YouTube. And I never noticed that until I actually watched one of the podcasts that I wasn't at and we were doing with Brian. I was like, oh, this is not as fun of an experience as it is as a host because we get to see all the comments in a really nice format.
Well, there you go. Now you get to see him down in the corner, which is
Yeah, so
nice.
that's fun. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. Nice. Anyway, I've got my new Magic t-shirt. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
I love that. Yeah. So does the guy who made the t-shirts, is he a magician too, obviously?
Yeah.
Or does
And
he
he's got
teach
his
you how to
he's
be a magician?
he's both. So he's like a performer and a magician, so he's got a YouTube
Yeah.
channel and he teaches you how to do tricks and stuff. But I don't want to like tell you his name because then you'll go and like see how I do with the magic.
That's really funny. You know what? My daughter was showing me, Jamie was showing me a guy that she watches on YouTube that does magic tricks and he kind of reveals the like sleight of hand. So I was like, I should pick one and then try and do a magic trick and see if I can like pull it off on here for you.
Yeah.
You'll probably know how I do it because you watch all these things, but I was like, oh, it's amazing how when the magic trick is happening in slow motion and he shows it, I'm like, oh my God, that's so obvious. But when you're doing it and like, it seems like you're paying attention. It seems like you're so enthralled, like with the magic trick, but you get tricked so easily. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's cool, eh?
Yeah.
Right then, 4 minutes 20 into the podcast. Hello.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your worst accessible seating ever because last time you said that you were going to go see a gig
Yeah.
with a guy and you said, oh, I want to know what to put on a sign. And I said, you should put, I'm head over wheels for you.
Yeah.
And then I said, oh, have fun. And then you were like, oh, it was terrible.
It was okay. So the music, just to be fair, was amazing. But I'm going to upload a picture right now of the image of where my seat was. And some people might have seen a TikTok that I uploaded about this. So I might be like repeating myself. But this is like a tent where the concert is supposed to be, and outside
Yeah.
of the tent is basically like beer gardens and things like that. And the accessible seating was on the outskirts of all of the entire grounds. So you're not even in the concert venue at all. They just stuck you beside a beer tent. And the where the arrow is, that's where the singer is. So like I couldn't even see the singer because it was so far away that the top of the singer's head was basically at that guy's hat.
Ah.
It was like the worst accessible seating I've ever seen in my life. And I was so pissed when I got there because he's like my favorite country singer. And I'm like, I didn't even know there was a singer up there at first because I thought it was just music playing on the speakers because there was like another performer. And I'm like, is there somebody even singing? And they're like, oh yeah, she's up there. You just can't see her at all. And then the girl who was like seating me, she goes, at least you can see the big screen. Like that's really good. And she felt so bad, but I'm like, no, like F you guys, this is the worst. So it was really bad in terms of accessibility. But the music was awesome. Once like Zach Top, who I went to see, went on there, his singing is just amazing. And like just to know that his voice was coming through the speakers and stuff like that, I was like pumped. And I got to meet a bunch of cool people in the accessible section, and we like bonded over how shitty the seats were. But I met a guy who was in a car accident a couple of weeks ago, and he like lost the ability to walk briefly, just because he bruised his heart. And so I was like talking to him, and then I met like these other people that were really nice and their families and stuff. So that was really cool. But yeah, I emailed the venue and was, because I looked at their website and it basically said like a statement that basically said we want to make the concert experience legendary for people in wheelchairs or with disabilities. And I was like, this is your statement. This is where we were sitting. And this experience was anything but legendary. Like if it had not been like an amazing performer who I love, I would have been like, I'm out. This is ridiculous. And so, yeah. And then I made a TikTok about it that got like, I think it was like 50 some thousand views just in like a day. And a bunch of people commented. I tagged the venue, I tagged the performer. So I'm hoping that they're going to get back to me because I sent them an email, and a bunch of people made a stink about it on my TikTok. And then last year, a bunch of people were saying, what? They moved the accessible section? Because before it was in the pit pass left. So like if I show you this picture again, right here, pit pass left is like a VIP section, and it was in there on a like raised platform. And I'm like, okay, why would they move it this year to such a crappy location? And my only thought is that somebody in the VIP section complained that, there was people in there that didn't pay as much as them because accessible seating is just general admission. Or they were like, you know what, we're losing out on a bunch of revenue from people, extra room in the VIP section. So we're just going to stick these people in wheelchairs or with disabilities in the crappiest section possible. Yeah. So I thought it was really sucky. I was so mad at first, and it took me like a good 10 minutes to be like, okay, I'm not going to let this ruin my experience. I'm going to have fun regardless of where I'm sitting. And there's really nice people beside me, and I don't want to ruin their experience either and be super negative about it. So, but yeah, I was pissed. I was like, this is where we're sitting? Like,
yeah,
great.
That's annoying.
Yeah.
That's so annoying. I'm sorry that happened. What was the name of the guy?
Zach Top. He is
Zach Top.
A country singer, yeah. And he's... Go ahead.
Did you make the sign in the end?
I did not make the sign because, I was like, I'm not sure where we're going to be sitting, if he'll even be able to see it. And when I got there, I was like, I'm glad I didn't make the sign. There's no possible way he would have seen it. And I was basically just like, I had a front row view of like all of these women that, well, men too, but I noticed the women a lot more, which is totally like, it's a double standard, but like drunk women acting so dumb. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I ever thought that was cool and fun when you're like 18, 19 years old and you are just like stumbling, trying to dance with the guy, and he's like holding you up and you can't. Oh, I was just like, oh my God, you look so dumb. Don't do that. You just look stupid.
Dear. Oh dear. Yeah. Oh well, that's unfortunate, mate. And you've had some you've had like some varied, like quite a lot of varied, accessible seating at lots of concerts. I think you've been to like many more than I have.
Yeah.
And you say this is the worst one ever.
Oh, it's the worst. Normally accessible seating is awesome. And I thought I had such high hopes because they said when I got to the concert venue that I could go through the VIP entrance because
Yeah.
the seats were close to there. So I'm like, sweet, these guys are like letting me go through the VIP entrance so I don't have to go all the long way around. Um, and then when we got in there, it was just like a VIP entrance. Oh, and right in the door, right on the outskirts of the grounds, there's your seats. You know, you don't even have to wheel
Oh.
very far. Don't even have to get close to the stage. Like, how great is
Oh.
that? So I was like, okay. And a lot of the people, like, I asked them, like, where is the wheelchair seating when I was going in? They didn't even know. Like, it was just the worst organization ever. So yeah, we'll see what they say about it and if they like what their explanation is or if they make it better next year, because that's all you can do, right, is try and improve if you do something bad and it negatively affects concert goers.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. I don't know, I probably won't go to an outdoor venue that much because they all kind of suck for accessibility. I mean, it was muddy, like
Hmm.
just kind of crappy. And you should have seen the bathrooms. Like the actual like porta potties were disgusting because people are
Yeah.
drunk and they're puking on the floor and
Ugh.
guys are peeing all over the place. And then, no joke, there was urinals, just little like rounded urinals outside facing the street, and like men weren't covered. It was just a thing to pee in. And I'm like, what? And there was like probably 100 urinals and men just peeing in the open outside. Like, I was like, what? It was so
Yeah.
weird. I'm like, we have like the weirdest like privacy inclusion bathrooms and all these things so that everybody has privacy. And then we're like, you know what? Give people enough booze and they can just pee on the street in an open urinal, like no
Yeah.
walls. Just
Yeah.
the pee part. I'm like, okay, nobody wants to see that. It
Yeah,
was
that
weird.
is, yeah, it's odd. Yeah,
Very
I
weird.
mean, those sort of things aren't the sort of things that I like to do now. You know,
Mhm.
and like you say, like once you step back, like my disability gave me a lot of room to step back, but then you sort of be reintroduced, like, oh man, it doesn't look like much fun, man. Like I remember, like you've got to like sometimes you've got to be really drunk to enjoy those venues, you know,
You do.
because when you're sober, you're like, man, this isn't actually that great. But when you're drunk, you're like, whoa, looking,
Yeah,
yeah, wait, I'll just wee
exactly.
here, you know, like,
I know it was like yeah, it was kind of weird. But and then the funny thing is there was like my cousin was there, didn't even know. So two of my cousins were there, like that I'm super close with, were there, and I didn't even know. And then she posted a picture of her there, and I was like, "Were you there last night?" And she was like, "Yeah, I went to Zach Top." I'm like, "Me too." And we didn't even know because we didn't see each other. And then my niece was actually there too, and I didn't know she was there either. I'm
oh,
like,
really?
clearly I don't talk to my family members about what we're all doing, but yeah, we never saw each other. So I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. Because I would have
Yeah,
had much
yeah,
more fun if I knew that my like cousin was there. Two of my like favorite cousins are there.
yeah, yeah. Don't you have a cousin in a wheelchair as well?
I do. And she's actually from that city. So I visited her the night before. She gave me the heads up that I could probably go in the VIP section. And she said the seats were pretty good because she was there last year and they did such a good job. And then when I showed up, I'm like, this sucks. And I messaged her because she bought tickets to two of the nights of the different concerts. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you're going to be so disappointed. So I'm actually going to text her after this and be like, hey, how was your concert? Because she went after I did. But yeah, it wasn't the cousin in the wheelchair that was there, but she does live in that city, and I visited her the night before. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Oh, cool. Brilliant.
How many people in attendance? James says. Um, I want to say like there was probably like 20,000 people there, maybe. Like it was a lot.
How many people were in the wheelchair section?
There was maybe like five people in wheelchairs, and the rest of them were family members. So I want to say like maybe 15, 20. Like not very much. When I first showed up, there was maybe like six of us. And then as the concert like became closer, then people started showing up. That was the other thing. I'm like almost 40 years old and the concert didn't start till like 11:20 p.m. I'm
Yeah.
like, that is the middle of the night. I'm like, why on earth are we starting the headliner that late? Like I didn't get home till 2 in the morning. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is bullshit. It's a weeknight. I'm like, why are we starting the concert so late? And the doors open at 4. So I'm like, imagine the doors open at 4 and people are
Yeah.
drinking from 4 o'clock till like 11. And so by the time I got there at like 10 ish, I'm like, how drunk are the people that I'm
Yeah.
around? I'm like, oh my God, these people are so drunk and they can't even remember the concert probably. They came here for the headliner and they're just like puking. There was a girl that like right in front, she just like threw up all over the place, and her friends like, "Do you feel better?" I'm like, "Oh my
Oh,
god, you guys are so dumb." Like,
oh
just
man.
ugh.
It's interesting. I listened to a podcast called Modern Wisdom, and he also like said, I went to the best concert recently. Like it started at like 8 o'clock, and then we were home. You know, I was in bed by 11:30, and I was like, yes, like that's
Yeah,
what you want as an adult. You don't want to be up till like stupid o'clock.
no,
Um,
no. Oh,
yeah,
it was
it's
crazy. I was like, what? And I thought it was like when the doors opened, I was like, 4 o'clock. I'm like, sweet, this is the best
yeah,
concert
right.
ever. And then my cousin was like, oh no, no, the headliners don't start till like at least 10. And so like we showed up at 9:30 and we're waiting and waiting and waiting. I'm like, when is this concert gonna start? It finally starts at like 11:20. And the other thing that sucked is my sister went to the bathroom and was like, you are not going in there. Like there's puke and pee and all of that all over the floor, beer cans. So I was like, I didn't go to the bathroom. So I was like, and normally I pee every like hour and a half, 2 hours.
Mm.
I didn't pee for like 4.5, 5 hours or whatever. I peed my pants by the end of it because I had to pee so bad at the end of it. But I was like, I am not going in the bathroom. I'll just wait to pee in the car. And of course I like peed my pants. So then I got back to the car. I'm like, and then my pants were all wet. But I was like, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Did you obviously you had like a pad or something?
I did, but it like leaked. It still leaked.
Yeah,
But whatever, it was fine. I knew I was gonna pee my pants. I just was like, I am not going in those bathrooms because the
mm.
last thing I wanted was to get like puke all over my tires and I have to clean that
Yeah,
off. I was like, no, that's not
yeah,
happening.
yeah.
Marco, you do win an award for like the being the nicest guy watching today. What? I thought you were 27. I hope you're actually telling the truth and not just like buttering me up. I want to look 27, but I know I don't. It's okay.
Nice. Well, mate, I'm sorry that happened. How was Zach top though? Was he top? Top of the
Oh my
pops?
God, he's so good. He is like a legend. He's such a fun performer. He's gonna be a legend. And he is like 27 years old, I think, but he plays music that's like super old. Like his inspiration is like old country. And I grew up in the 90s. So 90s country is like my thing. And his sort of like thing is bringing back the 90s country sound. So I love it. He also has like a bluegrass flair because he grew up in a bluegrass band, but he can play the guitar so well. Like he's been playing the guitar since he was 7 years old. Just amazing. And
Yeah.
like just the funnest guy ever. He forgot the words to some of the things and was like, oh my God, I need to review some of my music. But he was hilarious and like so entertaining. Yeah, so I hope I get to go to a concert where I can actually see him on stage, but I
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
missed the sweet spot where he was playing like really small venues because now he's like getting pretty famous in the country music world. So now he's doing like arena shows where, they're really big
Yeah.
venues.
So like you should message him or something like I don't know if you use Twitter or X or whatever. I don't, but you should message him and say, hey, listen, I'm a huge fan, and I couldn't really see you.
Well, I did tag him in my post. I suppose I could try messaging him. It's worth a
Yeah.
try, but yeah,
Ryan says, were there dogs allowed on the concert grounds too?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think they think dogs are usually allowed in the concert venue.
I think they have to allow service dogs, but I didn't see anybody with a service dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was just a shame. Like, I mean, I've been to lots of outdoor type venues, and usually the wheelchair section is in a realistic spot. And
Mm.
oh, I was so mad. I put that thing on TikTok, and then some guy, he was the only guy that negatively commented. So there was like dozens of comments that were good, but this one guy goes, "Just because you're in a wheelchair doesn't mean you get VIP seats, or doesn't mean you get front row seats." And I was like, dude. I am gonna like, we're gonna throw down. I'm like, I do not expect front row seats. And I even went in my email before this guy even commented, I said, I don't expect front row seats. I just expect seats that I can see. You have a little bit of a raised platform so that you're not looking over people's heads and
Mm.
you're in line with like, you're in a view of the stage. Like where these seats were was like way to the side behind the scaffolding and then like
Yeah.
behind like this weird pit pass sign. I was like, you couldn't, and then they placed these two security guards right in front of the like viewing of the of the wheelchair section. Like it was just poor planning on their part.
Yeah, yeah,
And so I was just like, oh my God, I wanted to like beat that guy up. I'm just like, I bet you've never
yeah.
spent a day in a wheelchair in your life. Like you don't even know what it's like. And it felt like segregation. It was such a weird thing. Like it was just like, you can be on the outside of the grounds, like not even in the grounds because it's too much
Wow.
trouble for us to figure out where to put this because it was kind of a hilly spot. And I'm just like, yeah. So they didn't think it over really well. Even if it had been up 2 feet, it would have been better. It was just
Yeah.
that there was a lot of people in our way, so we couldn't see anything.
Yeah, that really sucks.
Yeah. But anyway, it was like I said, I ultimately had so much fun because I love the music. And the people were just super fun. So yeah, it made up
Who
for
else
it.
did you meet?
So there was a lady with a walker there. I didn't ask her what her disability was, and I can't even remember her name. The only guy that I really know his name was Tanner, who was sitting beside me, who had the car accident like 2 weeks before or whatever and couldn't walk. There was I don't know what the guy's disability was, but his wife was really nice. My sister talked to her the whole time, and she was talking about like her grown son, how he dates like all these like horrible women, and he's like very wealthy. Like her son is 30 years old and does something where he makes a lot of money. And she's like, he meets like the devil women, like that are just gold diggers and stuff. So we were laughing at her, like explaining all this stuff to us and how she's like the mother, like every time he brings a girl home, she's like, if she can handle me, then she can stay in the family. But if she can't handle me, then she's out. And I'm like, oh no. But so she was
Blimey.
really fun. Yeah, just there was 3 couples that were there together, and then there was one lady that she didn't have a wheelchair, but she had some sort of a disability where she couldn't walk very long, and she was there with all of her neighbors. And then there was this other guy, Tanner, who sat beside me and his mom. And so yeah, they were all super nice. Like I think we talked, other than the one girl at the very end, I didn't get near her, but we talked to like all of them. And they were all super nice. They were all like, "Can we trade places so you can see better?" Like they were all offering to make it so that I could see better.
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, we all need to just be able to see." So I was like, "It's fine, we're good." But yeah, they're kind.
Oh, nice. We have a question from Danny Steves, Possibilities. Great name.
Yeah.
Hi from Ontario, Canada. I have a show in November and I have seats on the floor for the first time. Do you have any advice? I'm a wheelchair user.
Uh,
When he says he has a show, I'm sure, I think he means like
a
he's going to a
concert.
concert, right?
Yeah.
And he has like floor seats, as in like in the like a standing section or what? Maybe
Yeah.
give us some more.
Yeah, it's in
Yeah,
a
I don't know.
standing section. So, or at least here, any venues that I know, all of the lower part, because most of the concert venues are actually in like arenas where like hockey games are and stuff like that. They cover up the ice, and then they put the concert on top of that. And so there's floor seating, which is there is seats, but there's like a whole section of standing. And when the concert starts, everybody in the seats just stands up on the floor anyway.
Right, yeah.
And typically, for a long time, people in wheelchairs were not permitted to have seats down there. So you had to be in the upper sections. And now they've changed the rules that, at least from what I've heard from a couple of friends, that you are permitted to sit down there in specific wheelchair sections. So I actually don't have any experience sitting on the floor at all. I just know that from other people that I've heard, it can be difficult because people stand up and then you're kind of hooped because you're not elevated. It's all one
Mm.
level. So yeah, if your seats are in the front, great. If they're not, then you're probably going to be looking at a bunch of butts.
Yeah, yeah. I like when you said you're kind of hooped. I've not come across that term before. It's quite
Oh,
lovely. You're kind of
yeah, we
hooped.
say,
That means like you're kind of screwed, right?
yeah, we say
You're kind
that.
of
We
hooped.
say that.
It's nice. It's like a colorful bit of language, but it's PG. I like that. You're kind of
Yeah,
hooped.
yeah.
Anyway, I have an anecdote for you, Danny, that might help. So I was at a gig one time looking at this singer that we liked, and this was a long time ago in Switzerland when I was very first injured, and it was very like, it was like a hippie place. So there were like cushions on the floor and people were like laying on the floor. And I was like, oh, amazing. I'll transfer out of my chair and I'll sit on the floor. And there were loads of cushions. And I was like, oh, loads of cushions, which is good. But then as like the venue started filling up, like I was like, oh my God, people have like nicked my cushions. But then obviously and also the wheelchair looked really weird because again, I don't really look like your average wheelchair guy. So
Yeah.
it just looked like there was this wheelchair just there, right? And I wasn't very confident with floor transfers at the time. Anyway, I was sat there and it was all fine. Like it was all, we're all sitting on the floor. And then as like the music sort of like, got like a little bit more of a rhythm, everyone stood up and I was like, fuck. And because it was like this hippie gig, everyone had taken their shoes off. So it was just like a sea of shoes. So I was like, even if I transfer into my chair, I'm going to have to move all the shoes to get through. And this got me down so much. I remember like, but also I do remember like looking across at this one woman who was still sat on the floor, just like meditating on the floor. And I was like, oh, I suppose I could just like sit down like with her kind of thing. Anyway, my girlfriend at the time, Lou, she was there and she's like continued sitting down. There was also like this couple in front of us with a kid and they were like, oh, do you mind if like my kid sits in your wheelchair? And I remember like snapping back going, it's not a spare seat, it's my mobility device. But like the reason I brought this up was because at the time it really affected me really badly. Like I remember thinking I've ruined it. Like, we came all this way and, because of me, like, I've ruined the experience for my girlfriend and what an absolute waste. But looking back in hindsight, I really, really wish I just transferred into my wheelchair. Even just asked someone, be like, hey, can you help me back in my wheelchair? And just because once you're in the wheelchair, people would easily have just been like, oh my God, like go to the front. And like they would have easily, I know for a fact they would have allowed me to go to the front. They would have cleared the shoes. But in my head, I was like, oh, it's such a ball ache. I'm just going to sit here. I don't want to make a fuss. I just felt really sorry for myself. But like I say, with the gift of hindsight, I would have just asked people, I would have just transferred into the chair and they would have easily like pushed me to the front. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. I think it's hard sometimes to like want to be sort of in inconvenience and be like, excuse me, can I get to the front? Because a couple of people were like, why don't you just take your wheelchair and go, into the concert venue? And I was like, because it was so crowded that I was I'm going to have to like shove through people and it would feel awkward, but nobody ever says no to me. Like if I'm like, excuse me, can I get by you? Nobody ever says no. Some people give me like bad looks. In one concert venue, that's like a small concert venue in Edmonton called Midway Music Hall. It closes at 11. So the thing opens at 7, which is great. But the wheelchair section is right at the front and the bathrooms are at the back. So I had to get back to the bathroom. And then when I was coming through and I was like, excuse me, people were like, like, what? You just think you can get in front of me? Like, I was just like, I'm sorry. That's where my seats are. So it was kind of like, I felt bad, like not shoving, but like you feel like you're pushing to get through people. And once I got back to the section, it was fine. But that's always what it feels a little awkward to do that. So yeah. I had an experience similar to yours when it wasn't floor seats, but I was on a lower level of a smaller venue that had kind of like if you're in a movie theater, like those kinds of seats. And we all were sitting down and it was the Tragically Hip, a Canadian band. And once the band started, like for the first few songs, everybody was sitting down, then everybody just stood up. And because it's all one level, I couldn't see anything. And Joe, he tried to lift me up for like a couple of songs. He was like sweating and like people were like looking at him like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you lifting this lady? And then eventually I was just like, you know what? This is your favorite band. I'm just going to sit down and like, whatever, enjoy the thing, the music. But it was an awful experience. Like it was the worst concert. I never saw anything that entire time. I just saw like butts and whatever. And I was so happy for other people, but it's such an interesting thing being in a wheelchair because oftentimes, not even like at concerts, people will go in front of your wheelchair and like stand in front of you when you like pick a spot. They're like, oh, I can see. Then a bunch of people go in front of you. I remember going to like a Christmas tree lighting with the kids when they were little. So Jamie was on my lap. She might've been like 3 years old. Jacob was like 8 or something. And we went to like this outdoor event just to watch the Christmas tree lighting. I found a spot that I could see like the Christmas tree. And then like a million families filtered in front of me. And I was like so pissed because I'm like, I'm in a wheelchair. I can't stand up. And my kid is on my lap who's 3 years old. Like, I can't just be like, oh, you stand up or stand on my shoulders. Cause all these people have their
Yeah,
kids on
yeah.
their shoulders and everything. And I wanted to be like, are you guys like clueless? You're just like, you know what? I'm going to go in front of the person in a wheelchair who physically can't stand up and totally block their view so that all they can see is my snow pants. That's great.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and this has happened to me so many times. And I'm just like, I don't know if people are oblivious or actually just rude, but every once in a while, there'll be somebody that's like standing behind me is like, excuse me, there's a lady in a wheelchair that you're blocking. And I'm so glad when somebody else says it because I am so non-confrontational that I don't want to say it. Like, I just don't want to have to say it to them and be like, you know what, you're blocking me.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it's such a weird experience when your view is obstructed and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Danny says the venue has made one row wheelchair accessible, seating on the floor. Well, why did you even ask then? You know the answer. That's
Oh, that's amazing, Danny. If you say what venue that is, what venue are you going to? Just post it
I'm
in
only
the chat.
joking. I'm only
Yeah.
joking, Danny. But
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. That sounds like a yeah. You've got your answer there. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
yeah. But I've
Post
had those experiences before where I've had like mixed experiences. I remember when I was at another gig in Switzerland where it was like a busking festival. So it's like all these different like busking
yeah.
bands, which were really, really cool.
I love
And
that.
then, but I remember like as the crowds got bigger, I just couldn't see. And I was like, oh, this really sucks. And then all of a sudden, this guy was like, oh, hey, do you want to come to the front? And I was like, yeah. And then all of a sudden, like the seas parted because it was daylight as well. You know, it was really nice.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, amazing. And then I was like, oh, fucking hell, this is proper like VIP. Because you know when you sometimes again, like you say, sometimes you try to get through the crowd. And you get like mixed reactions. It depends on like the time of day, the people, how drunk they are, whatever. But sometimes they're like super friendly and they're like, yeah, man, like let's go. And then the seas part and you get all the way to the front. And sometimes people are just like, what, oh, you
Yeah.
know. So-
Yeah, that I was trying to get through somewhere and there was a guy like playing cornhole, which is like an outdoor game at this festival, and he wouldn't move. So I gently touched his back and he like spins around like thinking somebody that's gonna be like up there, and then nobody's up there, and then he's like, what? And then he looks down, he's like, oh. And it was such an odd, funny experience. Especially when people don't see you right away. But yeah, I think there's like always like mixed things, but I really do love when it's just like when you're watching like a busker or something like that is like it's nobody special really, but they end up being really good and you're just sitting there right in front of them. And it's fun because you're not competing for their attention or, their real estate in front of their station or whatever.
Yeah. I went actually all the way there to see one of my favorite bands. It's this guy called the Undercover Hippie, and we went to like see him. He played like 6 different times. I think we went like to 5 out of the 6, and he was he was such a cool dude. I really liked him a lot. But yeah, it was interesting because the last time I saw him live, I had like my leg in a cast, and I was not in a wheelchair. And then I said, "Oh, last time I saw you, I'd broken my leg." And he's like, "Oh, look, now you've had another whoopsie or whatever." And I don't think he clocked because again, this was like really early on in my journey, so I don't think he'd clocked that. Like, no, I'm in a wheel. I'm the wheelchair guy now. Like, I don't. Yeah, it was really odd. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't want to be like, "Oh, I'm fully paralyzed. I'm proper fucked, mate." You know what I mean? Like, it was just one of those odd things where it just went over his head a little bit. But whatever.
Totally. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, like I think concerts are a hit and miss thing, but I love live music, so I'll take the crappy experiences here and there for the good ones because I've had mostly good experiences.
Yeah. Anyway, switching gears.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear some good news?
Yeah, sure.
So last week, remember I said about my bike being broken, and it was really interesting. Like, my hand cycle attachment for my wheelchair broke, and it really sucked because I was like banging on about how like grateful I was that I could take the dog for a walk without like loading it into the car and all the freedom it gives me. Well, it's back working again, which is great.
Sweet.
So very, very chuffed, very, very stoked. But the problem is, I think what the problem is with one of the batteries, like one of the batteries has died, which is like an expensive battery. It's like I think last time it was like €1,000 just for the battery.
What?
But yeah, but luckily I have two batteries, so I have one that works and one that doesn't. Anyway, the bike is great. The bike works, and I'm stoked. So good news. I was like, now I'm like cycling with like fresh enthusiasm. I'm like, yeah, let's go, and because it's interesting when you think like something's broken, and then it gets fixed. It's almost like it's new again. You're
Yeah.
cycling with renewed vigor. You're like, yes, come on, let's go, and it was great. So
Because you realize like how much more independence it gives you. It's so funny because right after you talked about like how much independence and freedom your attachment gives you, then in my like with ladies chat with a bunch of women in wheelchairs, one of the girls who has been in a wheelchair for a long time and had like a proper racing hand cycle, she just got one of the front attachments like you that's like a power assist hand cycle, and she is raving about it because she's like, I can go anywhere, I can take my wheelchair, I have a power assist in case I can't get up like, a steep hill or even just like rough terrain, which I wouldn't have been able to do in my hand cycle before because I had to rely on my strength. So she's like raving about it. And I think she has a Baytech version, so very expensive version of it. But yeah, she's raving about it. So I'm like so torn about it because I have a regular hand cycle and I have a scooter attachment, but I don't have one that combines both on the front of my wheelchair so that I can just hand cycle with my wheelchair. And I'm like, oh, should I get one? I'm so torn about it.
yeah. Well, last time I remember you saying as soon as we get off, I'm gonna like contact that company and see if they'll
Yeah.
send you a scooter attachment. I don't know if you followed through on that or not.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So
Oh,
they
nice.
haven't responded to me in a while, so I don't know if they're going to respond to me about this either, but cuz they're in China, so sometimes they take like 4 months in between like correspondence, which is super weird, but and sometimes it's like that day. I don't get it, but
Mm.
yeah, so I'll let you know if they respond, but hopefully.
Yeah. So that was good. I'm stoked that the bike works, and I think it got damaged in the rain. The only
Mm.
thing I can think of is that it's on the balcony. It's kind of exposed to the elements, but it's underneath the like
Trough or the
the
yeah, I know what you
upstairs
mean.
balcony. So you know what I mean. But the
Yeah.
rain, there was a huge big thunderstorm, and the only thing I can think is that it got water damaged. So now I'm like taking the battery off every time and sort of like taking a little bit more care of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, so very happy. Good news to share with everyone that my bike works, because I know that actually I got some like really nice comments saying, "Oh, yeah, it sucks that your bike is broken because it does give me a lot of freedom. Something that you take for granted every time you cycle and it works. You're like, yay!" And then all of a sudden you're like,
It
bugger.
really
That's
does.
such an expensive thing to replace.
It really
But
does give you so much freedom. I can't even imagine what it must have been like to live in a time when there was so much less technology. Like it would have, I don't want to say that life would have been like, less good or your quality of life is less bad, but, or like it would have been bad, but I think it would have been. I don't know. I just can't imagine what it would have been like to not be able to drive easily or to have a wheelchair that was easy to push or lift or take
yeah.
apart. I don't know. It's crazy. I got a flat tire the other day. I should tell
Oh
you a
dear.
story of this like flat tire. So on my way to Calgary, actually not on the way yet. I was going and getting ready for Calgary and I filled up my tires before I left the house and then I was like driving and all of a sudden I hear this like psh, and I was like, "Oh no." My tube popped. And so then I get home and sure enough my tire is flat and I'm like, "What am I going to do because I'm going to Calgary in like an hour."
Yeah.
And I just didn't know what to do. So I called my friend Brian, who works at a disability like wheelchair repair place, and he wasn't at work that day. I'm like, oh no. So he's like, just call the shop because it was actually on the way to Calgary. It's like about an hour from my house on the way to Calgary. So I called them and the guy was like, yeah, I can absolutely change your tire. Cause sometimes the places here, they're like, oh, I can get you in next Tuesday. And I'm like, what,
Mm.
what's good
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
to do? And yeah, I went there. I had two tubes that I had on hand and one of them was the right one. So he changed it and he didn't even charge me. Like I just went up, drove, he grabbed my tire off my wheelchair. We did it in about 10 minutes. I was like, oh my God, that was so good. But that normally never happens. So that was like a bonus. But what do you do when you get a flat tire?
just remind me, how did you get a flat tire?
The tube just popped. It was just old.
But like, what
I
were you wheeling?
Nope, wasn't wheeling. I filled up my tires, and I always like underfill them. So like my tires say they can be filled to 140 psi, and I fill them to 100 just because I don't want to like overstretch the tube inside over and over and over again.
So
Um,
let me just get this right. Your tire just popped on its
mhm.
own,
Yep.
and you weren't wheeling. What
No,
you?
it was in my car. And my chair is like on the lift that I have, my chair is literally suspended in the air. So the tires weren't on anything. Like the tires
What?
are just freely rolling. Yep. I think what happened though is the previous people that changed my tire, they put a 24-inch tube in and I have 24-inch tires. So I was
Yeah.
Googling it and it said that if you have a tube that's smaller than your actual tire diameter, it will fit. But because it has to like, it stretches to fit that diameter, then it's likelier to pop sooner. And I like the last time I had a flat tire was probably like I don't know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So I've been running on this tube for a very long time and it just popped, which is
Mm.
like super annoying. And then, yeah, I've had bike places here change my tire tube, rather than an actual wheelchair place. Cause the wheelchair places here suck. Like they're just like, oh, well, I can make an appointment for next week. And I'm like, that's not going to help. I need you to change my tire like right now so I can wheel. And luckily this other place that my friend works at, they're awesome. So
Mm.
I phoned them, even though I had to drive an hour, and I still would drive an hour to get my tire changed by them rather than trying to find somebody around here to do it. If the bike shop won't do it here, then I'll drive to them. But yeah, it just popped and I'm like, oh, so I'm like so annoyed. But yeah, what do you do when your tire pops?
That's bizarre. I've my tires don't pop. I've never heard of a tire just popping.
You've
Although
never
look,
had a flat tire?
Main Man Tony, the great name by the way. Mine exploded right behind my head while I was delivering newspapers at 2:30 in the morning. It scared the poop out of me. I knew a bit old to have a paper round.
I
But
don't
no,
even think
seriously, that's wild. I don't understand. Well, no, mine's never. Well, I can imagine if I rolled over broken glass or like drawing pins, it would like pop. But no, I have uh my other wheelchair with the big wheels. Sometimes they pop because I'm out on the bike. I'm like going right through the woods and stuff like that. And yeah, when those go pop, I just change them myself. It's quite easy. But
yeah.
do you not change them yourself?
No, it's the ones that I have are really hard to change, just because they're
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
tight.
The
Um,
marathon plus ones are very, very,
um,
very hard.
I have spinner G wheels, which I don't know. I saw a friend do it before, and the amount of strength that he had to use to get the tire in and out of the rim, I was like, I don't think I had that kind of strength. So yeah, I just usually get my friend to do it. Joe's done it a couple of times, but he's like, this is bullshit. Like it took me an hour to get this thing in. He's like, you could take it to a bike shop and they'll do it in 10 minutes because they have the right tools.
Yeah, yeah.
And the guy that I took it to, he was like a biker, like an actual cyclist for many years. So he used these exact tires on his bike. So he
Yeah, yeah.
just knows how to do it really well. And I was like, I'm like, that took you so like little time. Like that was crazy. And he was like, yeah,
Yep.
I used to be like a competition cyclist or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take it to you from now on.
So Brian Kinney has a little tutorial on his channel, which I've followed along a couple of times. When Richard from Wheels to Walk In has the same as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've changed my tubes and tires before, like quite a few times. And then when these ones, they're called Marathon Plus, like
Yeah.
the tires, and they're on Spinergy wheels. But yeah, they are so hard to put on when they're new. Like it's not too bad if you've got ones and if you change the tube or whatever. But when they're brand new, they are so stiff, and it is and like I've got the tire levers, and you're like, "Ugh," and you feel like I've snapped a tire lever before trying to get them on, and yeah, they're very very difficult. But I've done it, because I wanted to be like, I'm going to do this myself. But then I got my friend who's a bike mechanic to do it, and he just made it look so easy, and I was like, oh yeah, that is. Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
you do it.
I do want to do more of that stuff for myself. I have a friend, Heather, that she does everything on her own wheelchair. Like she's like awesome and so independent with that. And I'm just like, I'm terrible. Like I don't tighten bolts on my wheelchair. I don't do anything, but I've always had like a guy around, which is like probably like not the greatest. But yeah, I should do more of that stuff myself just because if I'm like alone in a place and I don't have an access to like another human being that can help me, I should probably learn how. But
Yeah.
yeah. James wants to know how often I get a flat tire. Not that often. Like I think I've had like 3 flat tires in like, you know, the time that I've been in a wheelchair, maybe
Mm.
5, but not very often.
Yeah. I've got on my wheelchair outside I've got like very thick inner tubes with like gel
Hmm.
inside. So if they pop, the gel is meant to seal it up.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's smart. How do you get that?
Hmm. They're just called slime tires. You can just get them online, but I don't think you can get them for. They're for mountain bikes. I've got like big chunky tires on the one outside.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
Smart. Yeah. No,
Anyway,
I've never had big tires. Go ahead.
the other thing I wanted to talk about before we run out of time is so as you guys know, I'm unemployed for the summer, and it's like a gift and a curse, like it's gives me a lot of free time to pursue, extracurricular activities, practice my magic and stuff like that. But it's left me feeling like really meh, like with like the lack of structure and routine and stuff, and like seeing my girlfriend like going out to work and coming back, and and she's like quite energized with things like to do, and I've been falling into like bad habits. Like I've been looking like at too much YouTube and just it's just nonsense. Just like really silly things and yeah, I just wanted to like open up about it because I feel like there's so much like I live a really really good life. Like I love living here with my girlfriend. We get on well. It's beautiful. But sometimes I just feel really lost without a job,
Yeah.
without like getting up and going to work. Like I've said this before, but when I had a job before, I was getting so much more done with less time. And
Mm.
sometimes if there's no reason to get out of bed. I feel a bit lazy. Sometimes. Well, yesterday was a particularly bad day because I was just looking at my phone all day, and I was just almost like by the end it was like this compulsive addiction of just like what's the next YouTube video and like just doom scrolling my way to I don't know. It was just a bit shit, and I just wanted to say that, like, and it's interesting because I haven't made a YouTube video in a while, and it feels like I got loads of cool ideas, but I never follow through on them, and it's just such a weird problem. But like, it's just this weird procrastination cycle of just, I don't really want any like pity because it doesn't feel like you it's not I don't want to feel sorry for myself, but I'm kind of almost feeling sorry for myself, but like
Yeah.
just I don't know. It's very very odd. I don't know if anyone can relate to that at all, but it's just a bit of a weird existence. Like not
I
having this purpose.
I think you need structure. And that is like this is partly like one of my like biggest complaints in the last 5 years is that I just don't have any structure. And as the kids are getting older and they need me less, like they don't need me to wake them up in the morning
Mm,
necessarily. They don't need me to make their lunch. I get less productive. Like when I should be having more time to myself and more things to do, I get less productive for things that I actually want to do. And I'll end up spending a lot of time being like, oh, I have so much laundry to do when like my kids can do their own laundry. But I'm like,
mm,
I feel productive when I'm doing stupid little things like that rather than actually making the things that I want to make. Like, I don't know. I put together like, I put in a folder all of the videos that I still have to edit. There's like 5 videos in this queue that I have to edit. And one of them I found like a video of me getting ready for Jacob's birthday last, like when he turned 16 that I never published. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this like, never published video on Patreon or whatever. But like I have so many videos that I just like, I'm just not going to do anything about it. And there's so much stuff that we can do that's like doesn't take a lot of time, but that's helpful. And if we don't like create some sort of structure for ourselves, then we just like don't get anything done. And I'm the worst at doing research. Like I'm like, oh, I'm going to learn how to be a better YouTuber, and I'm going to spend an hour watching videos on how to be a better YouTuber, but the way to be a better YouTuber is actually to like edit videos and put them out. And yeah, so I'll do stupid stuff that feels like I'm doing something, but I'm actually not doing anything. Yeah, it's really, I totally get it. And I think structure is the key to discipline. Like you have to, and even if you have to create it for yourself, it's important. I know that when I was in university and I had like a 10-month-old, I got more shit done than I've ever gotten done in my entire life. And I was like taking 5 classes in university with a baby, you know, and I don't even remember how I did that shit, but I did it.
Yeah, it's wild. We've got a comment from Sarah saying, I feel the same way. I started a small business, which has been helpful. See, that's cool.
Oh, you should plug it. Really what's your small business, Sarah?
Yeah, what is it?
You should do a little plug. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I've got my magic, right? And I'm super thrilled about like the magic. It is like fills me up. But then after that first gig, I had this weird, almost like come down because it was like so exciting. I was like, oh my god, I'm going to do magic for these people. They loved it, and then I was like, oh, I've done that now, and I didn't feel like, you know, I didn't like. I thought it would like the momentum would like take me, and I'd be like, yeah, amazing, let's do magic for everyone. And this T-shirt arrived like last week, and I haven't even worn it out yet, and like. Because I'm a bit, I don't know what it is. I know it sounds like really, really lame. I'm not expecting like any sympathy from anyone. I know it's like self-imposed, but it's just this. I'm just in a weird funk, and it's just really, it's just an unpleasant headspace. You know what I mean?
I think it's like self-sabotage is what it is. Like I think at its like at the core, it's us resisting going outside of our comfort zones, right? Like we know something. And as soon as you like get excited about something, your brain is like, oh, wait, like, are you sure you're excited about that? Like, I'm not sure that that's really something that you need to be doing. Just stay where you are. Don't grow. Don't do anything crazy. And you'll be safer. That's what our brain wants us to do.
Yeah, exactly. Sarah says it's Sarah's Diamond Art Creations. I have a Facebook page and a TikTok.
That's
nice.
Awesome.
Sarah's Diamond Art Creations. That's cool. Fred, sounds like you need more coffee. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I've also been like, I have this like feeling of malaise, like this odd, weird, like the other day I woke up and I was just so tired. And I had some caffeine, then I had some more caffeine, and I was like, I feel like I could just go to sleep. I don't know what it was. I was just so tired, so utterly, like my lust for life has just gone. And I know it sounds a bit like over dramatic maybe, but I was just like, what is up with me? I just want to just like lay in bed, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, is, you know, yeah, it's again, it's not something I want like sympathy for or anything. I'm just being completely honest with you guys. I'm just like, I'm not, you know, sometimes I'm like, I'm still going to the gym. Like the other day we went and cycled, like I found out my bike worked. We cycled all the way up to the lake. Then Chris piggybacked me in the lake, and we were swimming around. Then she piggybacked me out of the lake, and then we cycled all the way back. And I was just like, as I was journaling the next day, I realized that I wasn't even that happy. Like I remember, like I should have been way more happier that my bike had worked. I should have been happy that I was swimming in the lake. But I remember like having this weird feeling of like dissatisfaction, and I'm like, where has this come from? Like I you know, my bike's working, the sun is out, I'm swimming in a beautiful lake in the French Alps, and I'm not quite, you know, I'm not like life is amazing, but it is amazing. So I'm kind of just stuck in a little funk, and it's you know what I mean?
I think I get that a lot. Like I'll be in like the middle of something that seems like it should be amazing. And I'm just like, I have nerve pain. It's hard to get around. And like it's yeah, I don't want to be like, you know, poo-pooing on the situation. So I'm just kind of sitting there being like, okay. But a lot of the time it's like, oh, this isn't really that fun. But yeah, I think I think that's just like part of being in a wheelchair. And maybe not like judging it. Because there's also plenty of times that are like extremely awesome, and usually at the most unexpected times, where you're just like, oh my God, this was the best. But when you're like trying to like force it for things that like outwardly might look like they should be, you know, quote unquote, part of the good life, then you're just like, eh. But also maybe that's like part of our like ingrained privilege, if you will, where we're like, just we take for granted so many of these amazing things that they don't even bring us joy anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't want to blame my disability because I do feel like I'm a bit of a happy chappy. Like a lot of the time, like I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but I would much rather be in a wheelchair, like, and be myself, because
Yeah.
like normally I'm probably, I'd say I was in like the top 10% of happy people. Like generally, I'm very, very, very happy all the time. But every now and then, I just go into this like little. It's like a malaise. It's like this, like just utter, not utter dissatisfaction. I'm just I don't know. I'm just in a funk, and
Mm.
I know I'll burst out the other side of it. Usually, like it takes me like a day like yesterday where I'm like, I just watched YouTube all day. This is disgusting. Delete YouTube off my phone, and then I'll try and like really get into being like more productive. Like today, for example, took the dog for a walk. I was much happier. Then we went to the gym together, which was really nice. Me and Chris, not me and the dog, and then yeah, it was just it's been a much better day. Like we played a little board game earlier, and then I got the podcast, and yeah, it's just it's a better day today. But I just still feel like this I don't know what it is, and I think I could say it probably had. I wrote in my journal, when I journal a lot, like some things come out, and I find out things, and then when I started to write about being unemployed, I'm like, yeah, I think it's genuinely being unemployed. I've been unemployed for too long, and that affects me in a way because a lot of people think, oh, I'd love to be retired and be financially comfortable and have all this time to myself. But actually, without the structure and routine, it can, and even the social circle that like a job can give you, it just leaves you feeling a bit lost. Like you're just sort
Yeah.
of, you're not moving forward. I don't have any goals I'm moving towards. Although, I could say being a magician would be a great goal to move towards, but I'm not moving towards it because I guess I only have myself to blame for that, really. But I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It sounds a bit
Yeah.
lame, but that's just how I'm feeling at the moment. A bit like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think it's lame. I think it's just natural. And I think I read this book on retirement recently, and it basically said that like without a purpose, retirement is useless. Like
Mm,
if you just are retiring so you can sit in front of the TV and you don't actually have hobbies or anything like that. And I find that like my parents are like they're kind of moving into that. My dad's getting ready to retire, and I'm like, what are you gonna do? Like, do you like make a plan? Are you guys gonna go for a walk in the
mm,
mornings? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you can't just like wake up in the morning and be like, now what? We ate breakfast and I don't know what to do. Because the last thing you ever want to see is somebody just like, yeah, just getting stuck in a loop of consuming other people's lives. And I think that's
mm,
when we feel the word like both you and I don't like to just sit there and consume like content that is other people living their lives. That makes us feel really crappy. So we have to be able to live our own lives. And it feels better to be doing that than to be watching other people live theirs. Which is, I love watching other people live theirs too, to get
mm.
inspiration from and all of that stuff. But eventually, if we're not doing that at all, then it starts to become a bit, depressing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just having a purpose, I think, is the ultimate thing, which is like one of these things that like this helps with having the podcast and all of that stuff. Even if we're not really saying anything that I think is useful all of the time, it helps to just have a time to show up and to think about what did I even do this week? What's useful to talk about? It at least puts some of that into a routine for us.
Yeah, yeah. So Marco says, "Oh, thanks for." Marco says, "Got any job lined up?" Well, that's the thing. Like, so I do have a job lined up, but it doesn't start until December. So it's I do, yeah. It's interesting. I have a job lined up in December, and then I just decided for some reason not to apply for anything until then. So yeah, maybe I should have. I feel like I really regret that. Like now we're in the middle of July. I feel like it's probably too late to because I live in a seasonal town. It's maybe a bit too late to apply for a job. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like almost embarrassed about that I even just blurted that out because it's a bit of a weird thing to
Is that
just
your
I don't know.
mom? That's so cute.
Oh yeah, that's my dad. Yeah, yeah,
Aw, that's very cute.
yeah,
No, I just didn't mean to put that second one up, but that's awesome. I love when our like families watch. My mom never watches, but she did like once, I think, and she was like, "Oh, your podcast is really great."
yeah,
Which
yeah.
made me feel good. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things. Like I'm in a total funk, like where I'm just like, I don't even know what I'm doing with my life. I'm trying to like do too many things at once and I need to focus. Last night I went and I looked at like my goals that I made in January to be like, have I even been working towards them? And I haven't. Like, I've
Mm.
just neglected so much crap. And I don't know. It's just like, it's really weird. I feel like I do things that feel productive. Like, I teach classes at the local rehab hospital, and I'm part of this committee that is planning for International Day for Persons with Disabilities in my community. And it always feels like I'm doing something, but I'm like, I'm not. And I don't really I like doing the like teaching at the Glen Rose, and mentoring newly injured people. I really like that, but I want to do it my own way. I hate doing it their way. So I'm like, I don't even really like being parts of those committees, because I'm just like, I just clash with shit there that I'm like, this is a terrible idea. You guys don't know what you're talking about. And I have to somehow structure my like classes to fit in your bullshit. So I'm like, I don't like doing that stuff. It doesn't like fill me up, but it always also feels productive. So I promise in the next little while, I'm going to start some sort of coaching program or something. I promise I'm putting it on here. You guys can hold me accountable, because that's what I actually want to do. I actually want to coach people in wheelchairs and help them, have awesome lives. That's what I want to do. I don't want to do it at the hospital where there's terrible nursing and, nothing really that I can do and say, because there's like, everything has to be approved. It's just annoying.
Yeah.
So
that's that. You actually you actually made a really good point there, and it reminded me, because when I was journaling this morning about my general dissatisfaction and why, I was like, you remember I said Chris and I had that ceremony like a while back, and we were like, we were really, we wrote down all these things, and then I made that into like a little poster for the wall and I was like, if you're struggling for what to do, it's written on the wall. You literally got a massive list of things of what you want to do, like have more dinner parties, have more, invite friends over, perform magic more, all, if you're stuck for things to do, pick anything on that list and just do one. So it's not like I'm stuck for ideas. I don't know. Again, I'm just stuck in a funk. And yeah. Anyway, the reason I just wanted to bring it up, just in case anyone resonated with it. But like I say, it is a bit of an odd thing to say. But I just wanted to open up about it.
No, I think a lot of people resonate with it, which is why like that video that I did when I said that I was in a funk, people just really liked it, because this is what we like. What happens? It's like a cycle almost when you have disability in life in general too. But I think it's just like it comes up a lot more when you have a disability, and I don't know. I think it's just one of those things that like is inevitable, and people want to know that they're not alone, because there's nothing worse than that toxic positivity where everybody's like, I never have a bad day and everybody should always be happy. And especially when you like share that you have a gratitude practice and stuff, you never want to give the illusion that like, just because you have a gratitude practice, it means that you never have bad days or that you feel ungrateful. Because there's plenty of days where you're just like, fuck gratitude. Like, I really don't want to be in a wheelchair today, and I don't want to like get up and do my bowel routine, or I don't want to have to be in a wheelchair. Like, I was with Jamie at that medieval thing, and there were so many things that I just couldn't fully participate in with her. And she was like, it would be so much funner if Dad was here. And she didn't mean to like hurt my feelings in any way. And I didn't take it as like, she was not having fun with me. There was just like the medieval dancing that everybody was doing as a group. I couldn't really do, like, it just wasn't, it wasn't a thing that I could do because it was on the grass and we were twisting and turning and stuff. So I filmed it and it was fun to watch, but Jamie really wanted to be able to do it with her dad. And the sword fighting is not the same when you're like somebody stationary, you can't move back and forth and do all this stuff. So it was just like, and I was like, fuck wheelchairs. I like, this is so annoying when I just want to be part of everything. I was ungrateful about that, but then I was so grateful that there was like stuff like archery that I could do. So like, sometimes you just are like, okay, this sucks. It doesn't matter how, blessed I am or whatever. Like, this still feels really shitty in the moment, and it's okay to feel that way. I wasn't gonna like whine the whole time and make everybody feel shitty also, but it was like, yeah, it was a bad feeling. And yeah, I just had to own that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. When you say, you just reminded me of something as well. Like, there's a magic trick I've been practicing. It is a super cool magic trick, but it's what's the word I'm trying to say? It was harder than I thought. So this is going to take a lot of practice. This routine, and I realized that when I'm watching this guy do it, it like the dynamic movement of his body as he's performing it helps so much with the misdirection. And I'm like, I can't like lean over to like hide something because I'm in a wheelchair. So and so it's a bit of a mixed emotion. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of the moves I can do, and it's a very, very cool trick. I can't wait to show you when I've mastered it. But like, there's just certain bits that I'm like, I'm never going to be able to do that, man, because like he moves in this really dynamic way, and I just can't, you can't. There's one point where he moves his whole body over to like block something, and I'm like, I just can't do that. And the fact that he's doing something on a table, but he's like so high up that he can do a certain move, and I'm like, well, I can't do that move because the table's higher up for me, and it just got me down a little bit. And then there's another guy who's got this magic podcast. This sounds a bit geeky, but I listen to it all the time. And I messaged him a question saying, oh, listen, I'm in a wheelchair. I've been performing magic recently, but sometimes the tables at hotels are like really high up, when they got the bar stools. And I'm like, that's really odd because everyone is looking down on me, and I'm as someone who is like an entertainer, I want them to look at me, but it's odd, like them looking down at me. And he is a very, very creative guy, and he's like literally brainstormed for like 10 minutes all the different ways that you could do stuff sat down, all the different tricks that are like maybe angle sensitive that would like benefit from looking down. And it was brilliant. I was really filled up as well. I came back from the gym and I was listening to the podcast, and I was like quite giddy, and Chris was like, what's up? I was like, he's answering my question. So it was really nice that he took the time and he answered all these questions that I had. And it's interesting, like it's a nice oh, give me 2 seconds, someone's calling me, go away. So it was just really interesting to, I don't know, interact with like the magic community. They're really quite friendly people sometimes. But yeah, even having like like I said to you before, like not anticipating how much being in a wheelchair would hold me back from doing magic, which I thought was, I just didn't anticipate that.
Yeah. There's so many things that you don't like, that it creeps up on you that you don't expect your wheelchair to affect. And I'm like, in the talent agency that I belong to, like I've been doing like auditions for like commercials and movies and stuff. And there's just a lot of things when I'm watching like other people like give instructions on self-tape auditions and stuff, and how they would do certain things in an audition. I'm like, I can't do that way because I, like you say, you just don't have as much dynamic movement, especially if your balance is affected. So you have to like make up for that. And there's plenty of people in wheelchairs that are successful stage actors and, on-screen actors and all of that stuff. So they make it work, but it takes a lot more energy to think about. And I think sometimes it just is exhausting. It's just exhausting to be able to have to always be like, okay, how do I problem solve this? How do I problem solve this? And just yesterday, Joe and I were like budgeting and doing a bunch of crap. And he was like so frustrated. I'm like, what is wrong with you? And he's like, I do this every day at work. I like problem solve in my job because I'm a manager and I have to do budgeting and, personnel and like all these things, staffing and whatever. And like, I wanted to be like, this is what my life is every day. I literally problem solve like every second of my life. How am I going to do this? How am I going to lift this? How am I going to get this thing? How am I going to do this thing by myself when I don't have help? Like all of these things. And I'm like, it is exhausting. And so like, I didn't say that to him because I was like, I get it. I'm not going to be like, oh, it's more exhausting being in a wheelchair. But I was just like, that is what it feels like to be in a wheelchair. Like when you're constantly problem solving for some sort of thing. How am I going to go to the bathroom here? Where am I going to go to the bathroom here? Like, what am I going to do for this like trip when I have to carry the bag all by myself? Like, how am I going to get this here? How am I going to put all of this in one bag? How am I going to, whatever it is that you're doing, it's constant problem solving and it just gets exhausting. And then when things creep up that you're like, oh, I didn't even expect this to be a problem. And then you're like, oh, now I have to friggin' figure this out. And it's just like, oh, it can be so frustrating sometimes. But, yeah, that's why I feel like all of the perks that I get for being in a wheelchair, I will take. I will take all of the benefits and all of the perks that are unexpected or expected, whatever, because I'm like, there's so many things that people just don't see. Like, like you said, trying to do a magic trick and trying to have to think about how to do it in a new way, which is ultimately going to be fun for you to figure out once you've mastered it, but frustrating in the process.
Yeah. On the subject of magic tricks, should we end with one?
Yes, let's do a magic trick.
Let's try something. Let's see. What can you see here? Excellent. Right, we'll start with Oh, let me just see if I can move that back a little bit. Okay, let's start with some items. Oh, I'll tell you what, how about I make my screen like this?
There, that's better, yeah.
Okay. We have a dollar bill. And
Okay.
I have here, can you see what this says? It says prediction.
Prediction. Okay.
So we're going to play a game, Brittney, okay?
Okay.
You're going to pick 2 items, and then I'm going to choose to eliminate one. Okay? And then we're going to take turns. So you can pick any 2 items here.
So do I say it out loud?
Yeah.
Okay. Or the Rubik's Cube?
Yep.
And the headphones.
And the headphones. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the headphones. And now I pick 2, and then you eliminate 1. Okay? So I'm going to pick the Queen of Hearts and the dollar bill.
The dollar bill.
The dollar bill. Okay, nice. So now we have these left. Now you go.
The cards and the Sharpie.
I guess I'll get rid of the cards. I'm going to go the Queen of Hearts and the Sharpie.
The Sharpie.
Okay, excellent. So which one of these 2 are you drawn to the most?
Like to keep or get rid of?
Yeah, well, just name which one that you're...
The Rubik's Cube.
The Rubik's Cube, you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, well, look, right here I wrote...
What? Oh my God. I don't know how you do that. That was awesome. I don't get those ones. They're like, because you didn't write anything like I don't get it. There's got to be like a way that I saw this one thing where a girl was like it was like a magic trick, but it wasn't really a magic trick. She was like, writing down the things and you weren't writing anything down. So obviously you didn't do it this way, but she was like saying something for her husband to predict. And then every second one, she was writing down what he said previously and then showing it to him. And he was like, what? You're like, this is so crazy. But when you predict it first and you like put it down and then we do it, I don't know how you do it. I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
bro, I
nice.
love that.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm glad you like that one. That's a nice one, isn't it?
No, because he picked the card at the beginning. So Marco's saying because there's our cards with every object written down, he picked the one with the Rubik's Cube, but he picked it before we started the trick. He put it on the table.
This was on display the whole time. You can go back and watch it again. This was on the table the whole time.
Yeah, it was on the table the whole time. So, because that's what he did at the beginning. He said, like, this one says prediction. I'm going to put it there. And he didn't. He was, like, choosing the things to get rid of. Anyway, that was very cool. I love that. I love that we end with magic and a little bit of, like, lightheartedness at the end.
It's good, isn't it? I love ending with magic. It's great. Right. Right. I guess we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, I want to remind everybody, though, that you can ask us questions. So it's almost like, not like free coaching for, people in wheelchairs, but kind of like if you have a real life question about something you're struggling with, if you have questions about us, you want us to weigh in on something, we would love to do that. Yeah, I love weighing in when he has questions about Chris and their like fights or whatever. And I love it when he weighs in on mine. So if you even like fun stuff like that, if you want us to weigh in, we would have fun doing that. So just remember that you can drop those things in the comments at the beginning, or you can send us an email, and we'll answer them. So empoweredpair@gmail.com or Fredo the wheelchair guy at gmail.com. Yeah.
There you go. Perfect. I'm a fan of this, in the corner of the screen there.
Yeah,
I like that.
Too.
It's really cool. I like
I do
seeing
like
the comments
that.
come up. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, I like it. It's cool.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Whoa. Alexa was... Shut up. I didn't ask you anything.
I was like, who is in your house?
She said you shut up too. How dare you? I thought that's a bit rude.
That's really funny. Oh my God. That's the cue. Alexa's being like,
yeah.
You've been on the podcast too long. Get off the podcast.
Did I tell you this? I've got like look, check this out. Alexa, salt lamp off. Bing. I've got all my like, see the corner lamp up there?
Yeah.
Alexa, jungle lamp off. Bing.
Don't you have to like buy specific outlets or something for that?
Yeah, I've got like what's the word? Like bulbs and stuff. It's cool, eh?
But how much does that cost? Because I always thought like to outfit your
It's very
to like,
reasonable.
is
It's
it?
very reasonable. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you know
Oh,
what? The best thing is that Chris is on board with it. I used to have it in my old place, but Lou was never a fan of it. She hated it. But Chris loves it, so it's great. Yeah. So, you know, we can have you know, Alexa, let there be light.
oh my God. Do you have to program those like commands?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think it's
I
cool. I love it. Like, so you just roll in at night, and you're like lounge light on, and they all light up at once. It's amazing. And then you can say good night, and they all go off at bedtime. It's amazing. It's very, very cool. I
and
really
can
like
it
it.
hear you from anywhere in the house?
Yeah, because it's a small place, and we've got one next door and one in here as well. So
My cousin who's in a wheelchair, she loves it. Like she wouldn't do without it. She's like, when I go to bed and I forget to turn the light off, she's like, oh, if
mm,
I had to get up to turn that light off, she's like, I'd be friggin' pissed. So she has it all over her house, and her husband is like so good at making everything like tech savvy for her. But they have everything like arm the alarms, set the
mm,
turn the music on, play this. Like my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, they like play this playlist on whatever or play this artist on
yeah.
Spotify and it'll do it. And I'm just like, oh, Joe is very like anti AI anything. So he's like, we're not being listened to all of the time and all that stuff. But yeah,
I love it.
I'm on the AI bandwagon for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely love it. I think it's great. It's just so cool. I say, Alexa, big light red. Boom. It's so cool. I mean, you can like have all the lights different colors. You can have them like go disco if you want. I mean, it's a bit of a novelty, but I just like coming in and just being like lounge light on, and they all come on, and it's this like really soft lighting. Chris had the worst lighting before, like that thing with a really sharp bulb, and because it's got like bars. It was like
Yeah.
and white walls. It were like bars. It looked like we were in a prison. We're like in a cage.
Oh,
And I was like, this is so awful. I was like, the lighting here is so bad. Let's get some nice soft lighting. And now we just got like nice soft lamps, and they all come on. It's a bit yeah. It's a bit. I think it's a bit special. You know, you just come in and you just and you speak, and you know, let there be light. Bing. You feel like God.
yeah.
You know, it's great.
Oh, I'm like my lighting in my house is probably terrible. I'm not like good at any of that stuff, but I guess that's what men are for because they're technological and women are like, you know, I don't know. They know how to
Yeah.
cook. Most of us anyway. I shouldn't say that. Lots of women don't know how to cook, but I do.
Yeah, Chris does, and I'm very, 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 very grateful to have her cooking some delicious food for me all the time. That's something I don't get tired of. It's really nice. Anyway,
Yeah, that would be
right.
amazing. Cool. Well, yeah, we will see you next week. Bring your questions. Jay Willie says he'll have a question for us next time. So
Absolutely.
bring your question. Don't forget.
Nice. Right
Oh,
then, until
actually, next
Oh,
week.
go on.
Wait, next week is the epidural
Wait.
stimulator. Sorry, epidural
Oh, yeah.
stimulator. So my
Cool.
friend's
Yeah.
gonna be on next week. So you might have to save your other questions for the week after. But bring all your epidural stimulator questions, and my friend Steve will be on next week at 10 a.m. We've confirmed it. So yeah, see you guys next week for that conversation.
I forgot about that. That is going to be an absolute banger of an episode. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
gonna be good.
Amazing. Excellent.
Yeah,
What's his name?
Steve.
Steve. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's his last name is like Crotcheteer or something like that, but we call him Steve Croach, and we also call him Creepy Steve because he's like loves women. He's
Oh,
got
okay.
he's got a wonderful family, but so you guys can call him Creepy Steve. I'm gonna tell you that right now, and everybody can just like be like, hey, Creepy Steve, and he'll be like, what did you do?
Right.
But
Nice.
anyway,
Tune in next week
for
for
Creepy
Creepy
Steve.
Steve.
Exactly. It's gonna be a good episode.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Bye. That was a good